Welcome to another episode of the Gritty Hour. Today I have a very special guest, D.A. Murray, who's the author of Dominion Ascension. And I'm going to let her describe what it's all about. Welcome to the Gritty Hour, D.A.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here today.
It's a pleasure to have you here. So tell us a little about yourself before we get to the book.
Oh my God, absolutely. I am live here in the Chicago area. I've been here
Okay.
for quite some time, over 20 years,
Okay.
and I have worked in the tech industry for quite some time, as well as I've been a writer. I've written several short stories, and I really didn't start to really dive into it until probably about 7 or 8 years ago. As
Hmm.
I'm sure you can imagine, I working it during the day as a tech executive and then writing at night. You trying to find a way to balance
Right.
that's a whole nother
Or,
conversation we could
or
have.
squeeze
But
the
quite
time,
honestly,
squeeze the time in even, right? Yeah.
okay. Yeah, and I think you know there are so many different areas where I feel like we have the opportunity to have more conversation,
Hmm.
and to explore hypotheticals, to explore how we as citizens of this great nation need to be thinking about how we engage with each other. What do we expect from the government? What do we expect from family? There's so many key areas that I think we can explore. And so when I started thinking about Dominion, I really wanted this story to reflect what are some of those conversations that I think we should be having. And it's not surprising, even though, I've been writing this book for several years.
Right.
Um, but it's not surprising that we are at such a critical time right now with respect to the question of women in this country and our
Mhm.
role, our rights, that we are looking at what is the role of government as it is quickly changing in so many ways that we may not have anticipated. And I think that the book could not be more timely to usher these conversations in. So that was really the impetus. It's like I had so many things on my mind that I wanted to address, and I just thought I'm going to tell this story, but I'm going to tell it in a way that is informative, but also entertaining, and relevant.
Right. Well, amen to what you said about the need for more conversation, uh,
Absolutely.
politically, socially, all sorts of ways, so you're spot on with that. So this book, when I was reading the thing for this book, I don't know what you would call it. I'm trying to get the phrase in front of me. Um, I want to make sure this is the right phrase for the genre. Feminist speculative fiction?
Yeah, this is definitely speculative fiction because
Okay.
Dominion Ascension is really about what the United States is like 50 years into the future.
Hmm.
So it's futuristic, and it tells a story that is, a very different type of understanding than where we are today in some
Hmm.
respects. But I also characterize it as the type of story that really unfolds in a way that helps the reader kind of think through some of the big issues. The United States is led by women. So that's what that part about being feminist led really comes into to the forefront.
Right.
But there are much broader issues in play. Power, who has it and who doesn't, and how does that affect the way our country is evolving. What does it mean to be human? What does it mean to bring technology to such a just to a fast forward where it's almost usurping humanity as we know it?
Yeah, like
So
AI.
there are some really broad issues that the story really brings into focus, which is one of the reasons why it definitely affects speculative fiction, no question about it, but a real thought-provoking type of story as well.
Right. And I'm assuming you would nod, given a nod to AI in that what the description you just gave me. I can't tell
Yeah.
you how many times AI has come up in the last, say, year and a half on my show here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it's interesting, as a tech executive, I have to, I look at it, I balance it out.
right.
And, the reality is that, technology is an enabler. It is something that helps us be, can help us be more efficient, can help us be safe. It can help us, drive or, put our voices, our perspective out there
Hmm.
in a really relevant and broad way. It can do a lot of things. It's an enabler,
Hmm.
but it's more about how it's used, right? And I think, the term AI it's so broad and people kind of throw it out there and, it can mean so many different things to so many different people. But,
Right.
the fundamental piece here is that technology is slowly but quickly within the story of Dominion usurping humanity as we know it.
Hmm.
And I think that's a really important differential. And so when I use the word AI, doesn't scare me, it doesn't intimidate me. I think that there's a tremendous number of opportunities where it can really help. But I think it's about the question of who is really, driving the bus. You
Right.
know, technology can't drive the bus. We as human beings have to drive that bus, right?
Right. Right.
And so that's why, there's a differential and it's so important to make that distinction.
Right. So now I know what prompted you to write the book. Do you mind if I share some of the pages where your book is currently? Because it's not all that old. This book, you haven't had it for too long, right?
No, it came out in July of 2025, so
Right.
it's still relatively new.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's a baby in that sense. So
Yeah,
the first, if you don't mind, I'm just going to share the Amazon page where it is now, and then I'd also like to share your actual website too, if you don't mind.
sure, I'm happy to do that.
So I don't know if you can see that on your end. Sometimes it takes a minute to come up on your end.
I can see it now.
Okay,
Yeah.
and there's the book, Dominion Ascension by D.A.
Yes.
Murray, and yeah, so it's been out for what, half a year, right? Yeah,
Yeah, a little under 6 months. Not
yeah,
quite there, but making its way.
yeah. How do you feel it's been received so far?
It is, I think it's been great overall.
Hmm.
Some of the things I was a little leery of, before the book was released, I was really concerned about how men were going to react.
Mm.
I have to admit,
Hmm.
given some of given the storyline, but surprisingly, I have really enjoyed hearing the responses from men. I go to a number of book clubs
Right.
and have these conversations, and I love the fact that so many men are really interested and engaged in the conversation. And I think what makes the big difference, we're not debating policy here, right? This is all speculative.
Right.
So it's kind of like imagine if this was the case.
Hmm.
And I think it just makes for a less intimidating type of, approach and easier to have that conversation. So that was kind of one area. I think the other thing was it was really important for me to ensure, anytime as any new author, not just me,
Right.
you want to I call it finding your people, right? Finding the folks who really understand and enjoy and really can savor what you are delivering. And so, as I'm sure you can imagine in the book world, fiction, I mean, it's massive and there's so many different genres and subgenres. It was really important for me to be really clear like, yes, this is fiction. Yes, it's speculative fiction. What could this be in the future?
Right.
Dystopian, even more specific, because things are turned on its head and it ain't exactly the best situation in some
Right.
respects.
Right. Right.
But it was also important for me to say, hey, listen, this is not like this isn't like potentially like a YA speculative fiction novel. We're not talking about like the Hunger Games here or, something that is, this is something that is not for immediate entertainment value. It is about really thought provoking discussion. So I call it almost like a slow burn in some respects. things are happening, things are creeping in, and you're having to think about it from the standpoint of the protagonist. How is she reacting to what's happening and what's happening to everyone around her?
Right.
And so I really think that that was something that was really important is I didn't want to get kind of thrown into some kind of a bucket with a whole bunch of other books that may not necessarily be exactly what my book is, but these other books are amazing. I love Hunger Games. I love all of those amazing, amazing books.
Right.
But it's important to me that the reader really get an understanding of what they're stepping into. And it's just a different type of approach, writing style. And so, I'm very proud of that.
Good. Well, it's a testament to a good writer like yourself that you can have a book of fiction and have the reader identify with the character. That is a good attestation to the quality of the work. You know.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you because I'm looking at the little synopsis on the Amazon page, and I want to show the folks your other page too. But
Mhm.
it says post-apocalyptic, which tweaks my interest immediately. But do you
Yeah.
describe in the book what was the
Oh,
event?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The book does I definitely get into what was it that happened.
Right.
In the case of Dominion, it's a great war. It's a
Ah.
great war. And there's results that definitely come about that completely turn this country as we know it on top of its head.
Right.
And it's like anything. The reason why the technology piece was so critical was because in any situation where there is an emergency, the house is burning down. Something is happening that's causing a tremendous amount of angst, and people are trying to figure out what to do, where to go, how to do it. When the house is burning down, you don't have time to sit back and try to figure out, well, how should we necessarily approach the situation in a way that will benefit everybody? Like, you just want to get out the house,
Where the hell's
right?
the front door? Yeah.
Yeah, give me
Yeah.
the front door. I need to
Yeah.
be safe. It's all about survival.
Right.
And
Okay.
so this is a society that evolved from that natural instinct, right?
Okay.
And the gatekeeper or the thing that was supposed to really keep it secure for everyone was technology.
Mhm.
Technology was supposed to be that thing. And I think in some respects it was. But in many respects too, you got to think about how do you allow technology to slowly creep into your life to a point where it takes over
Right.
potentially?
Right.
And that's kind of what the story in part is about.
Mhm.
The other part of the story, which I think is really important, as well as a storyteller, I believe very strongly in finding certain through lines that can connect with my audience. And one of the things that I did have in the storyline is the relationship between the protagonist and her mother and her father. And so, because if you can imagine, the relationship between parent and child is incredibly critical to how we become as adults, and the experiences that we have, what crafts our experiences that form, how we evolve.
Right.
And I really wanted to put that relationship to the test. And so that's a whole nother dynamic that's interweaved into this story.
Mhm.
And actually, even though technology has such a front and center role, this book is really about relationships, human relationships, and how they can be augmented, um, leveled up, destroyed, completely reshaped from the things that are happening around, but at the same time, this story is really about, with people and what it really means to be human.
Right. So the underlying theme of the book, though, is the thing that propels the book is that at that time it's a female dominated world,
Mhm.
and
Yep.
females females have most of the roles that traditionally men have now or
Yes.
in the past had.
Correct.
And the question that I thought about when I was preparing for this was, um, are things worked differently because females are in supposed, in charge, so to speak, than where they are now. Does that make sense? The question?
I think totally hear what you're saying, and
Yeah.
I'm thinking about how to respond to this without giving too much away. But
Yeah, that's
I
the other thing.
think
Yeah.
that, yeah, no, that's fine. But although directly in front of you, you may think it's all about male and female, like
Hmm.
this female dominated and what's going on.
Right.
But at the center of it is it's about power.
Mm.
Who has it and who doesn't?
Hmm.
And what do you do with that power if you
Right.
do have it? Right? That's really the crux of it. And it just
Right.
so happens that the women have the power.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're gonna have to read the book, folks, to find out how they got it. But uh, just another question. You had mentioned earlier that you were interested to see the react when I asked you about the reaction to the book because it's only been out a few months. But
Mhm.
um, what was the male reaction? Because you said you were interested to find
Mm.
that out.
Yeah, I just think that they were, very excited about talking about this new society. They
Right.
wanted to explore it in depth. And I thought that was amazing because I didn't expect that level of engagement by males. And there were all kinds of questions. Like I got questions from men around things like, you know, this is such a, this feels so real when I read it. It feels so real. And, where did you think men were really going to be in this world? Like, are they just on the fringes, or are they somehow forming some sort of a response to what's going on?
Right.
And what does that response look like and all of that good stuff. I love that they were asking all these questions, but then of course I had to tell them, you got to read book number 2.
Oh, well, a little further up the road, I was going to ask you about book number two. You have one in the works, do
Yes.
you? Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely. Book
So,
number 2.
for someone who's interested in buying the book, there are certain characters that flow through the book, and as you mentioned earlier, you probably will identify with one or two of them, whether they be male or female in the book.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the, comments that I got from some readers were like, wow, this protagonist seems so juvenile, like she's so naive, not juvenile, but maybe more like naive,
Okay.
and puerile in her thinking. And I said, well, and I totally understand where that's coming from, but it's one of those things where it's like, imagine you grew up in this society where information is very much protected, even withheld. Relationships are controlled. What you are allowed to think, explore, and be is controlled. So, if you can imagine or start to think about what that could be like, it's not too shocking that your ability to advance as an adult and start to have some of those changes in your life that really do spark, more adult, evolution,
Right.
that's delayed because you're not, you're not living in that kind of society anymore where things are just consistently coming at you and you're trying to balance it all or figure it all out. No, what's coming at you is what has been planned to come at you, and your response is expected to be, controlled as well. So
Hmm.
that was part of the reason why the protagonist is might seem a little stunted from a maturity standpoint,
Hmm.
but she's got a lot of growing up to do in that book.
Well, from a writer's point of view, I would think developing a character and putting he or she into this type of situation takes a lot of thought, and
Mm,
I'm sure you took care to figure out how they adapt in this world.
absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, I think, a lot of it had to do, I think, with just looking at what I was seeing around me,
Hmm.
looking at circumstances, people who have maybe not been constrained from technology, but maybe constrained politically.
Hmm.
maybe constrained from, just society in terms of their expectations. There's all kinds of ways that us as human beings, how we can be constrained, restricted, right?
Right.
And anytime you try to break out of that, it's a transgression of some kind, right?
Hmm.
It's like, how dare you think that you can somehow, be outside of the fold? That's not acceptable.
Right.
And I think that's really a lot of what's happening, in such a dynamic and forceful and powerful way, even now in our society,
Hmm.
is that we have transgressors, people who don't want to be fit that mold, and we are looking at how we can somehow mold them and make them be part of the fold, and that's just not going to happen. So
Right.
it's exciting.
Are we looking at the protagonist here?
Yes, that
Okay.
is her. Her name is Danny.
Is she AI created? I just have to ask, or is that a real
Oh,
person?
yes, absolutely. Absolutely. She is AI created without a doubt.
Interesting. So
All
this.
of these characters, yes, all of the
Mhm.
characters are AI created.
Interested.
And except me
Except
there.
you. Well, there's the real one right there, D.A. Murray.
It's a real person.
Yeah, so the reviews, I was looking this morning, the reviews have all been quite good. So the reception
Yeah,
has
it's
been quite good.
it's really been an amazing experience. And I think one of the things you have to be, obviously willing to do as an artist, anytime you're putting anything out in the world, there are going to be people that love what you do, and there are going to be people who don't love what, that's just part of it. You got to grow a thick skin pretty quickly. But what I have really been incredibly in awe and so grateful for, or for the readers, and even, some of the editors who said, "Oh my goodness, this feels like Octavia Butler or Kazuo Ishigami or Margaret Atwood," like, just in terms of the heaviness of the themes, or in terms of, just that really thought-provoking approach to bringing things on, and being very laser focused and almost surgical about when you drop something in that's going to turn everything around, right?
Right,
I mean,
right, right.
it's not just about pacing, it's about the disclosure of information,
Hmm.
and doing it in such a way that people really have to stop and think and go, "Wait a minute, I did not see that coming, but let me think about why,
Right, right.
why did this happen?" And so I am incredibly honored and in awe of anybody who gets that perspective, or gets that feel from my writing and my story. It's incredible.
I'm sure it's quite rewarding, sure. Because there is a talent to, like you were just saying, developing a character and then throwing a wrench, so to speak, into
Yes,
that
yes,
character, and how it not only affects the character, but it affects the people that the character is dealing with throughout
yes,
the book. So it
absolutely.
can get quite complex. So you mastered that part of it pretty well. So that's good. I'm so glad that your response has been good, and that's what's, I'm sure, encouraging you to come out with the second book, because I'm sure people that have read the book want to know what's gonna happen to
Well,
these
that's the
characters.
thing.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to know, well, what happens next?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, remember,
Now,
I I'm writing it right now. I'm
yeah.
literally writing it right now.
So stay tuned, folks. There's a two coming. But
Absolutely,
for those who haven't read this yet, this is your chance to. I would recommend buying the book so you can get into the book, and then when the second book comes out, you'll be ready to rock.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
honestly, the clubs have been so overwhelmingly welcoming of this story.
Hmm.
So much so, I actually have a book club kit that you can just download off of the author site.
Hmm.
And it has the standard things like, like questions, book club questions, that discussion questions. There is actually, the other thing that's in this book too is I had to put a glossary in the book. It's in the back of the book, and it's also in the book club kit, because there are so many futuristic terms that I had to make sure people could, could reference it in some way. And also, quite honestly, I needed to keep it right in my head as I was writing
Wow.
it. It's like, what did I say this meant? Or just trying to get that
So
straight.
so
So
you had
that
you had you had to invent things too in the future.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is it. That a lot basically everything that sits in the glossary is invented. And so
Wow.
obviously I had to have definitions, but then also, through just the course of the book, there were certain cocktails people were having, certain foods they were eating. So I was like, let's put that in the book club kit because people love to have, to have that full experience. And then there was, let's put some games in the book club kit so people can really, have some fun with
And you invented like the drinks and the food and the games?
well, I wouldn't say I invented it.
Uh-huh.
They were drinks that, that exist today, but I may have
Oh,
given them
okay.
different names or, put a spin on it.
Okay.
And so, but all the names are made. I mean, like it's this whole Dominion
Sure.
experience you can have. So
Mhm.
it's so much fun. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. And
So you
in
created
fact,
this world. Now you're the caretaker of
yes,
this world that you created. See,
yes,
it's a responsibility.
absolutely.
But I was going to ask you because I do ask people this when I see a book cover that interests me,
Mm.
um, which is what we're looking at now. The companion guide, actually, book cover, but it's the same
Yes,
illustration in the main book cover, correct?
yes, it
Yeah, I
is
just wanted to.
exactly.
What is that illustration? Number one, and number two, who designed your book cover if you didn't do it yourself?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So first I'll say it's a butterfly.
Okay,
And it's this butterfly is actually it's exploding. It's and it's the sign of the butterfly is very significant in Dominion because it is part of the national redirection of like how we have the the US flag. Well, the butterfly is part of this new flag of Dominion,
oh, it's
and
symbolic
the
as well.
butterfly
Yeah.
is representative of freedom. It is a very strong symbolism of females and the ability of to be free, but also to recreate or completely reinvent. But as you can see, it looks like it's being things are shattering all around it.
It's
And
yeah.
so that speaks to what's happening in Dominion. My publisher is a Kohler Publishing. And so the design of the book was actually done by Kohler.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And the name of the designer is in the book.
Okay.
it's,
Well,
it's amazing.
it's well done, which prompted me to ask you the question. Yeah.
Oh, I so appreciate that. I
Yeah.
appreciate the acknowledgement of that. A lot of
It
people seem to really enjoy
it grabs you,
the
it makes you
visual.
wonder what it is, like I did. That's like I had a feeling it was a butterfly, but I wanted you to reaffirm that for me. You know.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And that is in the glossary, the flag, the Dominion flag, and what the components of it are and the colors and all that great stuff.
Now,
So
what is this companion guide? Is that
the companion guide is actually it is the book club kit.
I see.
So we called it the companion guide because even if you could be part of a book club that's reading it, or you could just be reading it by yourself
Hmm.
and enjoying it. And so it was more like whatever you're doing, we have the right, things that can engage you in the world of Dominion. So
I see. I see. So somebody that buys the book, do they get the companion guide too? How does that work?
what happens is in the book, there's the specific link that you can go to and download it. It's downloadable right
I
off the
see.
side. Yeah.
I
So,
see.
and they'll get the information to
So when
where to
they
go.
receive the book in the mail, they'll have the link to it in the book.
Yeah, it's already acknowledged. Here's the link. Go here and you can download.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that's good. That's good because when you're creating a new world in the future, the people of today are going to need that, I think.
I think so. I
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah. So, do you mind saying what is the name of the book? Or maybe it's too premature to ask you what the name of the
Oh
second
no,
book
I
is?
tell people right away. It's
Yeah.
Dominion Anarchy.
Anarchy.
Imply
Okay.
infer what you will.
Okay. So the rebels have acted up. I'm not going to ask you to get too into that, but I could tell from the title that
Yeah.
there's a lot going on. So,
Right.
Well, this sounds
And the
fun. It sounds fun to immerse
it is,
yourself in a different world from the future, which, has
yeah, it
always intrigued
is.
me.
And the for the first book, Dominion Ascension, the reason it's called Ascension, I mean, Ascension is actually a national event that occurs every
Uh-huh.
year. And you'll
Okay.
get there's a very elaborate depiction of what that ceremony is and what it means for the country. So that's why it's called Dominion Ascension. Mhm.
Is Dominion the name of the country?
Yes,
Ah,
Dominion is the name of the country.
okay. Very good. Well, now you got me intrigued. Now I want to get this book and read it as soon as I possibly can. So you did a great job.
That's
Um,
the idea.
yeah, I know. Do you mind if I show? Because there's another website I just want to show people, and I do appreciate your time tonight.
Yep,
Um, this is damurrayofficial.com, which is your site.
correct.
And I will put a link to this site and the Amazon site in the show notes for those listening to us on Spotify or Apple or wherever. And those who are watching us on YouTube can just click on those links and it'll take you to these two pages. But let me X this out. Sorry.
Sure.
The the website itself, it also lets you learn a little bit more about the author, that who I'm talking to now, D.A. Murray. And is Amazon the primary place where people will go to buy the book, or can they buy it from?
Yeah, you can buy it from Barnes and Noble. For those of you who are, I have a number of folks who really want to buy from independent booksellers.
Yeah,
So bookshop.org is on there for sure, for sure. You can also get it at Walmart. So, distribution's expanding, but yeah, it's
every time I have a guest on that has written a book, I have to remind myself to say to the people at home, you go to your independent bookseller in your town and you ask for this book, and if they don't have it, they will order it, and you'll get it just as
mhm,
quick as you'd get it if you bought it from Amazon. But it helps support the bookseller as well. So,
absolutely.
yeah,
It's very much appreciated. I love it. And I
yeah,
love supporting them.
we have one in my town, and I do that as well. So that's good. I'm glad you mentioned that because you reminded me to say that. So I'm excited to read the book. I'm not going to lie, and I do appreciate you coming on today. Um, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I just think, I think, this book is definitely, it's a labor of love. There's no question about it.
Hmm.
But, for me, I think one of the things I really, really wanted to bring to the forefront is for us to be thinking about how the choices of today, in fact, impact what happens in the future, what
Right,
happens tomorrow. What type of legacy are we actually creating for future generations?
right,
Right. And so, for me, if any of these topics are topics that you think are of interest, I think you will love the book. But let me just also add, there's some really good juicy stuff in here too. it's
uh-oh.
it's not super serious. Not all of it is super serious because
50
it's a
Shades of
story.
Dominion, is that the name? 50 Shades of Dominion.
There's some subplots
Okay.
that are in there. There is a romantic subplot
All
in
right, you
there.
sold me. Now I'm going to order it.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
some other things going on for sure. So
Yes,
it's not just, it's not heavy. It's just,
I
but it's the
understand.
type of book that really, encourages conversation that people are going to want to have. And so that's, yeah,
If
I
I
just
if
love
I
that.
could guess from, I can glean from your the way you're describing your style of writing. It's for a purpose. It might be 50
Mhm.
Shades of Gray, but it's in there for a purpose, right?
Oh, everything means something.
Yeah.
The other thing I will say is when I was writing Dominion, I was seeing it like on the screen. Like I
Mm,
was seeing everything. Because one of the things that I hear a lot is, "Oh my God, I feel like I can see, touch, and feel and taste everything." Like your description is so vivid.
right.
Yeah,
So
it is. It
maybe
is.
read the book today and watch the movie tomorrow. You never know. It's happened, Da. It's happened.
Oh, I know it's it's happened. I
Yeah.
know it's happened. But yeah, that was the lens. And it
So
you'll find that
you had a movie in your head when you were
oh yeah.
developing the book.
Oh
Okay.
yeah. I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, this is what it looks like, and like everything. So, and you'll be able to tell right away. You'll read certain scenes, and you're like, "Whoa, okay, that's
It's cinematic as you're reading it.
yes,
Yeah.
I really feel the the breath and the
Wow.
bigness of it all. The
Well, that's good.
grandeur is
I'm actually excited to get it and start reading it, and you'll see my
there.
review on probably on the Amazon page. I have nothing
And
against
that
Barnes
is
and
one
Noble,
thing
but
I will add really quickly. As a new author, and you will hear this from any author,
right,
reviews mean everything. You
right,
get the book, please provide a review because it really does encourage others to, to obviously engage with the book. And the other thing I want to say too is, I think, reviews have to reflect honestly how you feel about the book. And
mhm,
one of the things that, I did, as I was, I look at every single review on every single platform and I read it all. And, sometimes I just have to like walk away and just like maybe have a drink or something. I'm like, oh my God, or, go cry somewhere in a corner.
Every review I've read about this particular book has been positive, though.
But yeah, but,
I'm talking
it's,
like 5-star positive. So
yeah, yeah, but like go on Goodreads. I mean, there's some great stuff and then there's some not so great stuff, but
yeah,
that's part of the journey,
right,
right? And so there were even, like there were people who gave me like 3 stars and like I read it and I was like, okay. And I said, wow, that's a really interesting point. And, I would just, message them back on like Goodreads and say, thank you so much for taking the time to read my book. I really appreciate this. And this particular point is particularly interesting to me, and I will definitely consider this,
mm,
or whatever. So I think the positive is great, but even the stuff that's not stellar can really help you as an author evolve your craft and understand better like why people are seeing your book the way that they are. It's
right.
okay. I mean, I think it's great. So
That's an incredible
yeah,
approach to take as an author.
yeah, yeah.
You know,
Well, I'm taking the long road here, Tom. I'm
yeah,
taking the
yeah.
long road. Like
This is
it
the
takes time to build a brand and to build the history of the track record of becoming an author. Or at least that's the road I'm taking.
right,
I work full time as a tech executive. I'm writing at night. Like, I don't have it 100% of my time to put into just writing.
right.
So for me, it's just, it's kind of, I'm playing the long game here.
What was that feeling? I'm keeping you too long, I know, but what was that feeling when the book first came out? Like like I've talked to authors that have that express the feeling of like your child going away to college or something. You're releasing it into the world, you know?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
When first off, it's so funny. When the box arrived, I didn't even know what it was. So I was like,
Ah,
ah. Yeah. So, I open up the box. I'm like, oh, I can't remember. And I see it. I'm like, you know, um, and
you
it
must have got a
was
little choked up. It's got to be an emotional experience.
interestingly enough, I didn't cry. I
Mm.
thought maybe I would because I cry. I mean, I'm always crying. I see a movie and it touches me. I cry over everything.
Yeah.
But I didn't cry. I think I had this tremendous sense of pride that, wow,
Mm.
it's here. It's real, right? It's not just a manuscript anymore. This is actually, I gave birth to this thing.
Yeah, yeah. That's the association people most
Yeah,
commonly
that's what
give me. Yeah.
that's the level of intensity that I had with it. And it
It,
has been
is there some
remarkable.
anxiety attached to that too? I'm just curious because
Yeah,
it's out
because
there. There's nothing you can do anymore. It's
there's
out
nothing
there.
you can do. You can't make any more changes to the book. And now
Right.
you just got to deal with the people who are going to say, oh my God, it's choo and the people, that is an ugly child.
Well,
you know,
fortunately, you haven't had that response. I've even read the in-depth editor reviews from,
oh yeah,
editorial.
no, it's been amazing. And I'll be honest with you, there are times I'm just like, sometimes I just can't even believe it all.
Yeah,
Sometimes I
yeah,
just like it really is overwhelming. Sometimes it doesn't even feel real.
right.
And that's interesting. The one thing I would like to note on here too, Tom, which was really interesting. One of the book clubs that I was in,
Hmm.
um, one of the things that was brought up, they said, yeah, we understand the story that you put, and it's very, it's got this incredible, broad, sweeping feeling to it. And, they said, but we didn't really see you dive into social or political issues around, like people of color, right?
Oh, okay.
That type of thing. And, I said, you know what? Imagine how much longer this book would have to be
Oh, yeah.
if I had to touch all of that. I mean, I think as an author, you have to really decide, what is the story going to be about?
Right,
And start to think about how you layer certain things in.
right,
And to me, when I think about amazing authors like an Octavia Butler, so strongly interweaving race relations and things of that, like very, very intriguing and intricate storytelling. That's not where I'm going in its totality. This is about technology. This is about men, women, relationships overall, family. But my characters are people of color, because I think that at the end of the day, it's a standpoint of yet another issue or another perspective that adds weight to the overall storytelling.
right.
But I just thought that was really interesting. They're like, wow, there's some these other things you could have gone into. And I said, no, that would have put this story off track, and I'm not ready for that. And
Well, you
I've actually
mentioned
got other
yourself.
things I'm writing on that
I was going to
front.
say, you mentioned yourself, you're taking the long view, the long road. So
Yeah,
you can definitely
yeah,
delve into how people of color, how their race affects
mhm,
their character
mhm,
if you explored it in
perspective.
this,
Mhm.
or something down the road where it's an entirely different world that you build.
Exactly. I'm just starting, folks. I'm just starting.
That's all right. Well, you started out with a bang because I feel like you got a real winner here. So,
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you, Tom, for that
yeah,
recommendation.
and I appreciate you coming on. And as I said earlier, there'll be links to her page and the Amazon page in the show notes, folks, so you can just click on them when you see this or hear this. And I certainly appreciate you coming on, and I'd love to have you back when you have the second book come out.
Oh, I would love to. I can't wait. I spend endless nights absolutely exasperated
Yeah.
by
I
just the gravity and it. I mean,
you
Dominion
don't
is.
have an ETA on that yet, right? You're still in the writing.
I'm not telling anybody what it is.
Okay. All right.
I'm not gonna give away too much, but trust me, there is not a week that goes by where I don't get an email or something that's like, I don't know, and I was like,
That's
okay,
that's that's
everybody.
got to be a good feeling, though. That's got to be a
It
good feeling.
is. It's
Yeah.
an amazing feeling. It's an amazing
And you never know
feeling.
what's around the corner, DA. That this might be a movie by the time the second book comes out.
You never know, but you know
Yeah.
what, Tom? That's what I'm angling towards.
Yeah.
This book is meant to be on the screen. It
Well,
is such an incredible story.
are you
So,
going to use these AI characters, or are you going to get real people to to?
oh, yeah, I'm not.
She is a good-looking woman. I can see her selling movie tickets.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things where you got to kind of balance it out. As a writer, what I write comes from me.
Right.
All of my that comes from me.
Right.
And I think, for the purposes of, just kind of giving a sense of what the characters look like, that's really just about helping readers imagine the world,
Right.
right? And so that's to me is a little bit different. So, but yeah, um, I'm thrilled. And also too, if you want to get a little bit more of a feel of things, when you go onto the author site, there's a little sizzle reel about the actual story that you can watch that
Okay.
gives you a sense of some of the high voltage moments in the book.
Okay.
So that's always kind of fun too.
Sweet. Is that on the DA? your
Yes,
official
it is
page?
on the
Okay.
author site. DA Marie.
I don't know how that got past me before while I was preparing for this show, but I'm going to check it out right after the show. All right.
Awesome. I love it.
Well, I do appreciate you coming on, and obviously, I wish you the best of luck. And I am going to uh, get the book and read it, and I'll be one of those people clamoring for the part two.
I love it. I
All
love
right.
it.
So again, Da, thank you so much for coming on the show. It was a very interesting time, and you're very articulate. And I just know I'm going to love your writing style, the way you described it. So,
Thank you so much, Tom.
all
This has
right,
been amazing.
good. I'm glad you had a good time, and the
Yes,
best
I
of luck
did.
with the book. And we will see you when the second one comes out. Okay.
Thank you. Have a
All
good
right.
one.
See you.